Hey golfers, Jack Spencer here, Practical Golf for All. I haven't made one of these videos for a while because, quite honestly, I've had two orthopedic surgeons tell me the only thing that they can do for my left shoulder is replace it. And I'm not a big fan. But what I'd like to go over today, and I think I can do this even though I have kind of limited movement. A lot of people have asked me about shallowing the club. And I said in a previous video that I don't think it's that important, but you know, when I sit around and I can't really swing or anything, and I look at these online things, and they're all about shallowing the club. So this is what I'm going to say about that. Two people that shallow the club very nicely are Zach Johnson and Graham McDowell. In fact, the move that I'm going to show you today, if you look at Graham McDowell on YouTube, he does it quite nicely. Both of those guys have their club heads, their shafts, even their golf balls, like custom fit to them. And they're hitting at 250 yards. So you tell me if suddenly if you can shallow the club, you're going to become a 330-yard bomber. I don't believe it. That being said, you see a lot of it. You see a lot of people struggling trying to do it. So this is the most simple move that I can think of that might help you shallow the club. And that is when you get to the top of your backswing, you do that with your lead wrist. That does a couple of things. One is it's going to close the club face down, but it's automatically going to drop this trail arm pretty much into a position where you want it to be. And when you do that, and then you come through it, the club face isn't going to be wide open. If anything, you're probably going to hit a draw, which is pretty much what most people could use anyhow. If you don't cup that left wrist at the top, if you just drop the club down, that face, depending on how much you're physically able to rotate, is going to be wide open when you go through impact. By cupping that wrist like that, when you come through impact, your hands are going to be well ahead of the club head, but the club head will be square. And that's how I think if you're really convinced that if you can learn to shallow the club, you know, you're going to gain 20 or 30 yards. I don't believe it, but if you think that, that's I think the easiest way to do it. The other thing, if you look at yourself on videos and you think, well, I'm doing that, but I'm not getting it down in here where you see the professionals. Some of that has to do with your shoulder turn too. Like I have really limited shoulder turn now, so if I get here and drop the club, I mean, it's going to be there. It's not going to be down in here. If I get to here and I turn a little more, which really kind of hurts, then it's going to look a little more shallow. So just understand that if you want to shallow the club, if you think that's going to gain you some distance, and I mentioned too, that, you know, Phil Mickelson does not shallow his club, and he still hits it pretty hard. But if you're convinced that you want to learn how to shallow the club and eliminate the big miss to the right, then what you need to do is to make sure that that club face, that this wrist is cupped, this elbow is dropped in where it belongs, and then when you come through, the club face is going to be more square. So, I hope that helps. I don't know when I'll make another video. It doesn't seem like too many people care about them anyway, but I'm not doing it for money, so that doesn't bother me. But, you know, it's winter time here in the Northeast. If you really want to work on something, if you're convinced you need to shallow the club, that wrist action at the top of the swing is probably what you're going to need to incorporate into your own swing. And again, if you look at YouTube, you look at Graham McDowell, he does a really nice job of getting it to the top and then cupping that wrist and then coming through it. So, I hope you enjoyed this. Maybe I'll see you again soon.